It started with a social media post that set the internet on fire. Young job eyes. Crimson and voice wavering that Rashida Frost had spent a secret night with him. She was now carrying he child. LD fans are angry, timelines explode, and murmurs of betrayal spread like wildfire. But now, in a move nobody saw coming, Kirk Frost has issued an ultimatum, then a test asked on live camera to establish once and for all who the father truly is. Rumors surfaced that Jock's announcement was not an act of love, but a premeditated attempt to ruin Rashida's reputation and establish a gap between her and Kirk. Insiders assume Jock planned the entire disclosure to undermine their marriage, meant to take the paternity crown and ride the tsunami of wrath. Emotions ran high as Kirk, torn between rage and despair, determined to clear his reputation and safeguard his family's honor. The family was left divided, acquaintances took sides, and the performers of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta watched in startled silence as the controversy deepened. Now the world waits with bated breath. Will the Deno results exonerate Frost or discover a truth that can break everything? Stay tuned as we go deep into every combustible element of this paternity issue where allegiance resides, and a single test result might affect lives forever. It was a quiet afternoon at the Frost family when Kirk Frost first saw the video. Young Job, seated in a dimly lit studio, voice cracking, peered directly facing the camera. As he dropped the bombshell, Rashida Frost had discreetly spent a night with him, and now she was pregnancy. Kirk's palm shook over his phone. This wasn't a bluff. The text messages from pals verified it. Jock had gone live, racking up millions of views, and the world was watching. Emotions rushed forcefully as Kurt's heart pounded. Fury and sadness collided in his chest. He's staring at the screen, the words ringing in his thoughts. She's carrying my baby. The family was left divided before. He even spoke inside the kitchen. Rashida waited at the counter, her phone clenched tight. She'd heard the rumors initially screamed by producers who knocked on her door. She tried to deny it, but Jock's camera left no room for doubt. Tears poured as she faced Kirk, who stood in the doorway, mouth hard. The stillness stretched unbreathable. Then Kirk whispered, voice low and steady, "We're doing a Duna test." Rashida's eyes widened. "Kirk, please," she began, but he held up a hand. "No more guessing, we find out the truth for our family." The room felt like a storm trap, each heartbeat louder than the last. That evening, Kirk called an emergency meeting. At the studio, producers, cast members, and staff assembled in the green room, whispers ricocheting off the walls. Carly Red looked around, trying to gauge reactions. "Does anyone know what's happening on?" she said gently. Paddock shook his head. Looking. Through Jock's live replay on his phone, Bambi brought her fingers to her lips, stifling a gasp. When Kirk entered the room, fell silent. His presence was overwhelming hurt. He took a seat at the top of the table. Papers spread before him, a notarized paternity order, contact facts for dentist professionals, a time frame for live exposees. "We're going forward with this," he said. "I want samples taken tomorrow morning, lab findings by week's end, and I want the entire surgery filmed." The producers exchanged uncomfortable glances. One cleared his throat. "Kirk, live filming is unsafe. Legal concerns, privacy worries." Kurt cut him off. "I don't care. If Jock wants to play games with my wife's reputation and our marriage, he'll face the light." Jock, who had been leaning against the doorway, arms folded, smirk fading, moved ahead. "You actually going to degrade her like that?" he queried. His tone was caustic, yet indicated an undercurrent of terror. Kirk stood, eyes blazing. "I'm protecting my family. If you lied, if you manipulated her in public or private, we'll know." Jock's smirk wavered. "You think the food test demonstrates anything? It's all about timing and paperwork?" Kirk shook his head. "We'll see." The next morning, the mood was electrifying. Word had spread, then a showdown was on. The parking lot crowded with expensive cars and camera vans. Fans craned their necks hoping for a glance. Kirk and Rashida arrived together, gently hands, connected yet stretched. Job pulled up minutes later, music booming eyes. Alert security erected a human wall around the entrance. Inside, workers hustled to set up lab equipment tables stocked with swabs, and biohazard bags. Everything certified for paternity testing. A mobile lab worker clothed in scrubs stood poised. Beneath fluorescent lights, cameras filming from different angles. Carly read and Bambi remained nearby. Whispered technique. We need to control the tail. Carly pointed highlight. Dad's right to realize the value of truth. Bambi nodded and stressed. Rashida's courage for accepting to this Rashida makeup gone from tears, listened silently. She traced her wedding band, her pulse racing. Chaotic positioned himself beside the monitors, ready to cue the live feed. The energy was a mix of dread and anticipation. The technician called for samples. Kirk went first. Cheek swab, turn head, 15 seconds. He complied, eyes fixed on the camera, steadfast. Jock followed. Smirk replaced by focus. Rashiva's turn was last. She closed her eyes, exhaled and submitted. Her swab lab assistant sealed the tubes, lobbing each sample with barcode labels. The leads called out chain of custody confirmations. Fans outside cheered or jeered through the windows. One sign read, "Truth or nothing." Another, "Rashida deserves dignity." With samples collected, the personnel placed the specimens into a secured refrigerator, going for a certified nail lab. Production manager declared results will be back in 48 hours, exact match or exclusion phones. Flared up as producers sent messages to every fan account and gossip blog. Within minutes, Naishna drama was trending with thousands of comments speculating on outcomes. Back in the green room, the cast regrouped. Kirk sat alone, elbows on knees, head in. Hands Rashida approached, crouching by him. "I'm sorry you have to do this," she whispered. Kirk looked up, eyes red. "I'm sorry you're in the midst." He gripped her hand. "We'll face it together." Carly Red clapped her hands. "All right, people, let's get back to work. We'll prep the announcement sequence." Behind them, Jock lingered, watching. Bambi gave him a piercing gaze. Jock narrowed his eyes, then stepped aside. Phone pressed to his ear. "Get every angle, every leap, we might need backup proof." The waiting game began. Over the next day, tension simmered. Cameras filmed behind. The scene sees Rashida in a corner, head in hands, Kirk pacing the hallway, muttering. Footage Jock in a recording studio making a reaction video to the imminent announcement. Producers. Edited teaser film on social media. Then a results drop tomorrow at 12. Who's the Father portions broadcast, non-stop on rumor sites. That night, Rasha lay awake in the married bedroom. Kurt laid near her. Moonlight flowed through drapes. She's staring. At the ceiling, thoughts going through every minute of the past months. Jock's confession, the leaked voice notes, the hospital rumor. The initial nail indicated that had cleared Kirk. She wondered what the next consequence would come. Kirk stirred. "Half waking you okay?" he asked. She turned to him, tears sliding. "I'm terrified." He embraced her close. "Me too. But whatever happens, we'll manage it." Just before dawn, Kirk slipped out to check his phone. A single message flashed. Lab processing, delayed contamination, discovered knee rewab. His heart sank. Contamination. Now procedural. Faults threatened to undermine the final moment. He rushed the corridors, finding the lead lab tech. "What contamination?" he commanded. The technician looked up, concerned. "One sample didn't fulfill collecting rules. Could be from external dinner." Kirk's fist smacked the table. "It has to be excellent. Redo it now." Technicians hurried. In the early morning hours, a second round of samples is undertaken in tougher circumstances, controlled, collecting no outside interaction while cameras documented every step to avoid future problems. The air was dense with haste. By daylight, vials were sealed again. Director exclaimed, "We've got it." Next stop the lab, no more delays. Phones buzzed 48 hours since the original unveil as the clock neared its closing minutes. The players gathered in the studio's main stage area, preparation for the Live Nail reveal. A semi-circular workstation faced an audience of producers, workers, and a handful of committed fans invited for special taping. A giant screen loomed overhead, ready to broadcast results. Kirk and Jock stood on opposite ends. Rashida. Between them, a tenuous ceasefire linking them. Microphones hovering overhead, cameras. Odd Carly Red stepped forward to the podium. "Thank you all for coming here." She continued, voice calm yet authoritative. After days of speculation, preparation, and emotional pain, we are ready to reveal the end results that would solve the dilemma on everyone's mind. She waited, letting the anticipation develop. Jock shifted in his seat, fingers extending as he grabbed the desk. Kirk's gaze narrowed. Jaw set Rashida's, eyes fluttered, tears pouring. The lab technician walked ahead with a sealed envelope. Silence descended like a cloud. He cleared his throat and shattered the seal. The mite picked up his soft voice. "The Duna test confirms." And in that heartbeat before the announcement, the room held its breath. The world outside paused on screens, and the destiny of relationships, reputations, and a tiny life hanging in the balance. The net test reveals that Kirk Frost is the biological father. A deafening calm fell over the studio, followed by an outburst of gasps and murmurs. Jock lurched back, eyes wide and unblinking, as if the words had literally impacted him. Kirk slumped into his chair, head bent back, breath coming in curtains of comfort. Rashida sank on, Kirk's shoulder tears streaming freely as relief and embarrassment waged battle on her heart. Fans are astonished, timeliness inundated with the verdict, and social media exploded in jubilation and scorn. Emotions ran wild as Kirk grasped Rashida's hand. While Jock's smirk faded beneath the weight of defeat, Jock's voice trembled as he spat accusations. "This test was rigged, you paid them off." He rose unsteadily, slamming his fingers on the table. The team froze. Kirk straightened, voice forceful yet furious. "These findings are confirmed. No amount of denial will change the truth." Rashida's weeping stopped as she met Jock's stare, rage blazing. In her eyes, "You lied about me for clout," she hissed. Jock smeared. "I told the world what you tried to hide." The family was left divided, even as the test reunited them in indisputable fact. Producers hissed instructions to cut to commercial, desperate to give everyone a minute to regroup. Behind closed doors, Kirk paced the hallway phone, pushed to his ear. "We need confirmation from a second lab," he demanded. The lab tech's voice came through the line. "We can't authorize another test without a court order." Kirk's cheeks blanched. He paused the conversation and leaned against the wall. Mouth tightened. Uncertainty crept back in. What if the network delayed or refused? What if Jock found a loophole to dispute the verdict? Rashida approached, placing a hand on his arm. "We proved it," she murmured. Kurt closed his eyes, shivering. "For now," he said, voice hollow. Meanwhile, Jock retired to his dressing room, closing the door. He slipped into a chair, head in his hands. The empty room appeared like a cage. His manager, pacing close, said, "Your sponsors are bailing out. The controversy cratered your endorsements." Jock slammed a fist on a table, scattering papers. "I can't lose this," he growled. "I'll fight again." The manager sighed. "The public turned on you. It's going to take more than an apology to repair this." Jock rose quickly, determination squeezing his spurs. "Then I'll add another twist," he hissed, and they'll have to listen outside the studio. Fans and media flocked. A mob had gathered, phones raised, singing Kirk's name or jeering Job. One fan hoisted the flag, "Bina don't dishonesty." Another screamed, "Plout chaser revealed." Timelines were filled with memes and reaction clips. Talk show hosts teed up segments questioning Jock's intentions and admiring Rashida's fortitude. The narrative transitioned from scandal to vindication. The family was left fragmented, but the truth had realigned loyalties in Kirk and Rashida's favor, at least publicly. Carly, red and chaotic, collected meeting producers in a small corridor. "We ride this wave," Parley stated, gazing alight with plan. "Release the whole unveiling footage, then prompt confessionals." Chaotic agreed. "Fans need honest passion. Get Kirk and Rashida to talk from the heart." Producers agree. Phones already drafting social copy. Bambi passing by, overheard and halted. She watched. Jock's closed door and shook her head, sadness fluttering in her eyes. Inside the green room, Rashida wiped her face with the tissue. Her gleaming lingered impatiently. "You were amazing." One mumbled. Rashida's voice trembled as she added, "I never wanted this fight, only peace." Kirk entered and wrapped her in a loving embrace. She tilted her head up, seeking reassurance. "We won't let this break us," he pledged. Her tears flowed again, but this time, relief blazed behind them. "We'll heal," she murmured, voice firm. The live broadcast commenced and Kirk walked to the mic. "I asked for the truth and I got it." He began, voice steady. Rasha joined him atop the podium, her hand shining with his. Together they addressed the crowd, thanking supporters and criticizing Jock's defamation campaign. Jock, dragged onto the stage by producers, gave a lame apology. Chui allowed the drama take control. "I'm remorseful for what I did." His apologies ring hollow to many viewers who booed. Cut off the stream. The family was left divided when Jock slunk off, his credibility in ruins. Later that evening, Kirk and Rashida returned home under a veil of security. They roamed the quiet halls side in hand, the thrill of wonderful spectacle, faded by tiredness. Upstairs, their infants rested oblivious of the fury that had raged around their parents. Kurt paused at the bedroom door, staring at Rashida. "We did it," he whispered. She flashed a mournful smile. "Yes, but at what cost?" He nodded, understanding her disguised query. The public win hadn't eradicated the hidden scars. They entered the room, closing the door softly behind them. Jock's world, by comparison, was in turmoil. Alone in his apartment, he read through caustic articles and offensive jokes. Each one felt like a gunshot. His phone buzzed with messages, some inciting revenge, others asking him to step back. He flipped it off and collapsed onto the sofa, the weight of defeat crushing. Outside his window, the city lights blurred. As tears burned his eyes, he muttered to the lonely chamber, "How do I come back from this?" The next morning, Kirk awoke early to press notifications. Kirk Frost and Rashida Frost's speech was trending. Then a test success called a key event in reality. TV history. An avalanche of congratulatory comments inundated his account. Tears of thanks pulled as he grasped Rashida on the couch. She sipped her coffee, tiredness and optimism warring in her gaze. "Maybe now we can find normal," she whispered gently. Kirk kissed her forehead. "We'll build a new normal together." Meanwhile, Jock's ex-girlfriend revealed another supposed text saying Jock bragged about organizing the whole incident months ago. The fresh revelation revived demands for his cancellation. Even some of Jock's staunchest supporters admitted they felt exploited. The loop of speculation threatens to spin back. But for now, the spotlight had turned forcefully. Kirk and Rashida, though battered, stood together at its heart. As the week went, producers prepared the next episode, a deep dive into the paternity fight, exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, and a glimpse at the uncomfortable ramifications for Kirk, Rashida, and Jock. Teasers promised new discoveries. Maybe Jock's last desperate move, maybe a glimpse into Rashida's path to forgiveness. Fans were riveted, eagerly awaiting the next revelation in the drama that the Shadow's Jan Jock was considering his next step. Isolated in a lovely, spectacular kilometers from the Frost mansion, he studied the explosion like a hawk. His phone lay. Before him, screenshots of sponsors pulled out an apologetic text from former pals. He banged his fist on the coffee table, sent a flurry of frantic texts. Get me a shot at one more interview, I'll reveal something larger. His manager's weary reply flickered on the screen. We're prohibited, networks won't contact us. Jock's chest tightened. The fear that he'd overplayed his hand settled like frost. Yet desperation fosters ambition. If one strategy failed, he'd devise another. He'd become the architect of his own resurrection, or die trying. Back in Atlanta, the Frost home awakened with great optimism. Raspberries of early light filtered from the kitchen window, while Rashida prepared breakfast, Kirk by her side reading through fan mail. Their son toddled in bright-eyed, oblivious to the cataclysm that had nearly open-ended their family. Todd went F.